about equipments. Next, this is just the classification of tapes based on two criteria. First one is tape material. As you all know, it can be steel tape, it can be any alloy tape, steel alloy tape, it can be metallic or non-metallic tape, even made of cloth. Okay, it can be polymer or a fabric tape. Okay, so this is just the classification based on the material of which tape is made. Next one is based on the graduations. This is also important. The tape can be in metric graduations. Metric, I mean the units that the tape is displaying, or the distance which the tape is displaying, maybe in meters, centimeter and millimeters. These are metric units, and it may be in imperial units, and most of the tapes are available in imperial units also. Okay, which display the distance to us in feet, inches. Okay, so these are the imperial units. So while measuring the distance, we need to know what is the unit in which the tape is there, and most of the tapes have got the dimensions or measurements attached to it in both the units. So you need to know which measurement you are reading. Okay, so this is very important, and you need to also know which reading displays what is the least count of that particular tape which you are using, and how you need to read those readings. Next one, it can also be classified based on different location of zero mark. The zero mark, the initial point of the tape, this is also very important to understand, because we often tend to ignore this. What happens is, the location of zero mark on the tape, at times it is not necessary, because when the tape is starting, it has also got a handle attached to it. So sometimes what happens, the zero mark just starts from the starting point. Certain reading of it is even not displayed, okay, because the steel portion that is coming through which that tape is attached to that handle, okay, that portion is hidden. Okay, and where you see the tape, it has got certain reading. Okay, so what happens, zero mark, it is not necessary that it starts from where you need to check. Sometimes what happens, it starts with the edge of, okay, the outside edge of that handle, the zero mark starts. Sometimes it starts after the handle, from the edge of the tape, and sometimes it even starts from the place where you can see the tape. That is the zero graduation. So when you are measuring the distance, you exactly need to know that, and you will place that tape at the station in such a way so that the zero mark is displayed by the initial point only. Otherwise you will get faulty readings, and if you are conducting the same error again and again, and if it goes unnoticed, then these errors will add up again. Okay, and it may give significant amount of error. Though the best part is, if we get to know these type of errors and due to which deficiency they are occurring, we can apply suitable correction factor based on what type of error we have conducted in each and every measurement, that can be distributed to all of them. Okay, I will show you with the help of numerical example also this thing, so that you can develop a clear understanding of this. Next thing that we study here is taping methods. Okay, this also we have studied a bit, but I will tell you three types of taping methods, means how we can tape a field. In three ways generally we do this. Firstly, what happens is, on a smooth leveled land, if we are talking about a flat terrain that is leveled, so what happens, we can easily do the taping by keeping first point at station A and the second point at station B on a perfectly leveled ground. Okay, so if it is leveled ground, we will keep one point on one edge of the ground at particular station, and the second point at other station, and we will keep it horizontal, tension, and we can easily obtain the reading by laying the tape on the ground. So it is very easy. If it is a perfectly leveled ground, we can directly take the measurement. Okay, secondly, what happens, if it is not a leveled ground, or if it is a case of hilly station or sloping land, then the same technique we will use that I told you while we were studying about the plumb bob and handle. Okay, just same thing, we will transfer the point at a station. If any station is located below, then from that we will transfer the point with the help of plumb bob to a height from where the second station is perfectly horizontal or above that. Okay, our height should be above that. Okay, now what we do is, once we have located that point, then with the help of hand level, what we do, we try to keep the tape horizontal, and once we have done that, we can exactly find the horizontal distance between this point A and this point B by holding the tapes perfectly horizontal. Okay, and how we can check whether our tape which we are holding is perfectly horizontal? This can be done with the help of hand. Last thing, if there are obstacles on both sides, means if it is a case of hill and we are trying to find the distance from one end to other end. Now what we will do is, firstly we will locate station A with the help of plumb bob, and then we will locate station B same with the help of plumb bob on both sides. Now plumb bobs will be required on both sides because from one end you can't even see the second end. Okay, so we will have to raise those stations to a sufficient height from where both the stations are visible to us, and it will be perfectly horizontal. So for that we have to raise those points above the highest point of the hill. Okay, how we can do this? With the help of plumb bob, and then we will try to keep it perfectly level. Okay, and at times if it gets difficult, then we have got many other strategies. What we will do, we will try to split it into two different parts. First part we will try to keep from station A to the topmost point of the hill, and the second part we will try to keep from topmost point of the hill to the other station. Okay, we will measure this. Suppose the topmost point is X. From A to X we can measure the horizontal distance using same hand level, but this time this plumb bob technique will have to be used only on one side. Okay, because if we are using it on both sides, then it may get difficult to balance, because on both the ends you are holding hand level. Though they are different persons, but from both the ends tapes are being held and hand levels are also being held. Okay, so it may get difficult. So what you can do is, you can measure from point A to the topmost point of the hill horizontal distance by using hand level at one end and plumb bob, and then from topmost point to station B again. Once you get these two horizontal distances, you can add them up to get the final horizontal distance between these 2 points. Okay, so this was it. Next comes is taping procedure. When the taping work is done on the field, what are the simple steps that we need to follow? Though these steps are very simple and just the basic understanding, but at times we tend to conduct few errors. So just it's good that we go through these steps and we try to follow these on the field. Okay, first what happens is, head surveyor. The head surveyor is the one who will be holding the zero end of the tape. Zero end of the tape means from where the tape is going to unwound. Okay, he will just hold the zero end of the tape and he will start moving towards the target, that station point which you are trying to locate. Okay, between those 2 points where you are trying to find the distance from A to B, suppose, then he will move towards station B. Okay, and as soon he is moving, once he calculate total tape, means once the tape is entirely unwound, okay, then the back surveyor who is standing at that initial station point, he will tell yes that the tape has been unwound completely and we have covered one tape length of 50 meters. So he will shout tape, and at that point of time, that front surveyor who was going, he will locate that station on the ground with the help of chaining pin, and that particular person who was standing at initial station A, he will guide him that whether the point where he is aligning that chaining pin, is it perfectly in sight with the leveling rod that has been placed at final point B, so that we get the shortest distance between those 2 points. Ranging poles we need to locate, and we need to see whether that point which is being marked in the ground at center, is it perfectly in line of sight with that point or not. Okay, so rear surveyor guides the front surveyor. Thereafter, when he is locating the point, we need to check that full tension force should be applied. Okay, full tension means that tension force of 50 Newton that we are looking for should be applied, and front surveyor thereafter with the help of chaining pin can locate that particular point on the ground. Okay, this is how it has been done, and if we are not able to follow any procedure or if any error occurs, then we have to account for that suitable correction factor, which we will be studying in the upcoming slides. Okay, so what happens after this has been done? Now both the surveyors will have to repeat the procedure. This entire procedure will have to be repeated by both the surveyors for all other stations. You have came from A to B, same technique has to be followed from B to C, C to D, these steps. Okay, the way we have studied. Now next, this is break tape technique. This is also important. What happens when we are trying to calculate the distance between 2 points which are located very further apart? So we can't calculate the entire horizontal distance at once. So what we do, we start from initial point, and then from A to B, B to C, C to D, we try to calculate horizontal distance in parts. Okay, using any of the technique that we have studied up till now, whichever is suitable at the site, we just tend to locate 2 points and try to find the horizontal distance between them. If they are perfectly on a flat terrain, then you can find it directly with the help of tape. If they are on a sloping ground, then you may have to use plumb bobs and hand levels to locate that point and find that horizontal distance. Once you have found all those horizontal distances from starting point to the final point, then you can add them. So this is known as break tape technique, where you break the taping procedure into different parts, okay, based on whether the 2 points are clearly sightable or not. It is not necessary that you always have to unwound the full length of the tape. Suppose your tape is 100 meter and after 60 to 70 meter on hilly terrain it is difficult to sight other point, okay, so you can break it into different segments and then you can do it accordingly, okay. So this is how the break tape technique is generally followed. Next comes the errors, okay, one of the most important thing now, the errors that come in taping. First one is systematic errors, okay. So what are the systematic errors? Firstly, we will go through them. They can be of 4 types, okay. By systematic errors we mean these are the errors that may come due to the error or defaultness in the system itself, okay, in the instrument itself. So what happens, and these errors, the best part is that these errors can be eliminated. These errors always occur in a suitable direction. Either they may be positive or they may be negative. Either additive correction may be required for them or subtractive. If the error is additive, if we are getting higher value, then we will have to apply subtractive correction to get the correct value, okay. And this is how we can account for these errors, okay. Just first one you can see here is for slope. The error may come for slope. Suppose we require to find the horizontal distance between those 2 points, and those 2 points which we were thinking are perfectly on a leveled ground, they were at a sloping ground. So the distance which we have recorded between these 2 points, which is now inclined, is 30 meters. With the help of 30 meter tape, we are thinking that the horizontal distance between these 2 points is 30 meter, but horizontal distance is even lesser. Horizontal distance between these 2 points is even less than 30 meter. Why it is less than 30 meter? Because this hypotenuse is 30 meter, so the base will be even lesser than, okay. So we will have to apply that subtractive correction, and we can easily find that. I will tell you how we can account for these. Second one can be due to erroneous tape length. Means we are thinking that this particular tape is of 30 meter, but it may be 29.997 meter, or it may be 30.1 meter, okay. So what will happen, we are thinking this to be 30 meter tape, but if it is 29.5 meter tape, then what will happen, the distance we will be measuring this as 30 meter, but since this tape is in actual of 29.5 meter only, so the distance which we have measured is only 29.5 meter on the ground, and we are reporting this as 30 meter. So the measurement which we are giving is higher, okay. We are saying this is 30 meter, but in actual it is 29.95 meter. So we will have to apply this negative correction, okay. Then error may be due to temperature also, obviously, because if there is increase in temperature, then due to increase in temperature the length of the tape may increase, and if there is decrease in temperature, the length of tape may decrease with respect to the standard conditions that are considered at a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, okay. So what is happening, we need to check the site conditions that are prevailing on that particular day in which the taping was done, okay, and based on that we can apply suitable correction factor, and these errors can be eliminated. Same is for tension sag. What happens for tension sag? If sufficient tensile force has not been provided at both the ends of the tape, and if that tape is not perfectly horizontal, then what will happen, this tape will be inclined, and if this tape is sagging, then the horizontal distance between these 2 points, which we have reported as 30 meter, is even lesser, because this length is 30 meter when the tape is sagging, but this horizontal distance is even lesser. So we will have to apply that suitable correction factor, okay. So these things we need to account for in our readings, and we know that which type of error this will give. Either this will give positive error or negative error, okay. So these type of errors always occur in the same direction. If they occur in the same direction, then you can get to know which type of error you are getting, and you can eliminate them, okay. Then Then comes random errors, but before random errors we will study for blunders. Okay, what are blunders? Blunders, these are the mistakes. Okay, this may be due to human unconsciousness conducted by particular, means if the person who is conducting the survey is inexperienced or conducts any faulty readings, then those are the blunders. Like incorrect counting of full tapes from particular station A to another station B. If he has traversed 10 tape lengths, suppose 10 times the full tape has been unwound to come to that point, and he accidentally means wrote it as 12 or counted it as 12. So what will happen if it is a 50-meter tape? So the actual distance was 10 into 50, that is 500 meter, but he is counting it as 12 into 50, that is 600 meter. So the error may be large due to these blunders. Okay, and it may be in any direction, but these can also be eliminated by verification. Okay, if you feel that error is occurring, and always you need to verify your results after you have taken count of it. So these errors can be eliminated by verification, and at times what happens is, same person who has conducted the survey, if he conducts the verification, then few errors it is difficult for him to locate. So in important site projects, what we tend to do is, another person is appointed to conduct the verification of results, or from the same crew member another person can conduct the verification of results. Okay, now next one is misreading the tape. What happens? You can even misread the tape. The readings that are there can be misread, and if you have misread the reading, then what happens? Suppose it was 23, the reading was 23 and you report that as 32. So there may be error. Okay, that may happen accidentally, and these readings you will have to correct. Okay, so these are basically the blunders. Recording of incorrect readings. You recorded incorrect reading. The reading was something, you wrote it correctly, you noted it correctly, and when you were writing it out in the field book, or told your crew member, you told him correctly, he wrote it wrongly, or you were trying to write it afterwards, you wrote it wrongly. So these type of errors may occur. Mistaking end marks. By what this mean? By what does we mean? What do we mean by this? Mistaking end marks mean that end mark where the tape was completely opened up, we need to mark that station that yes, one tape length has been covered here, but while we were marking the chaining pin, it may be marked at certain different place. Okay, because we were not, suppose if it was done at a certain level, and means at a particular height where the point was located with the help of plumb bob, and when you were marking that point on the ground, that chaining pin, when it was being installed, it was installed accidentally at the wrong place. Maybe it was not in perfect line of sight with the two station points A and B. So these type of blunders may occur, and you need to eliminate them. Now next one is random errors. What are the random errors? These are those errors that remain even after systematic errors and blunders have been removed. Okay, these type of errors cannot be eliminated, and it is difficult to eliminate them. And the worst thing is, they can occur in any direction. They may be either positive or they may be either negative. But what generally happens with these type of errors is, they are very small in magnitude. By how do they occur? Maybe during setting of pin. Okay, when you were setting the pin, maybe you set the pin bit before chaining pin when you were installing on the station, where you have means when you were trying to locate the station which you have found using that taping procedure. So it may be that you have located the pin just before or maybe just after. So in both different cases, you will get either positive or negative error. It can be in any direction. It can be during plumbing, when the plumb bob was used to locate the point on the ground surface. You took it at different place maybe, and if you took it at different place, then what will happen? Once you take the tape at different place, then it will give you the wrong reading. Okay, so this type of error may occur. Error may occur in reading of tape readings. Okay, you were trying to read tape and you read the readings wrongly. So you can read it both ways. You can read the higher value, you can read the lesser value. It's not that you have reported it wrongly. You were trying to read the graduations and it was 156.35 and maybe just before or after, and you took it wrongly. Okay, these type of mistakes. So it can be bit less, bit high. Okay, incorrect tension reading, whether the tension force that was applied to keep the tape horizontal, that was incorrect. Sufficient tension force was not applied. In place of 50 Newton, different tension force was there and you didn't account for it. Temperature reading can be incorrect. So these type of random errors may occur. Sometimes random errors may be same as blunders or systematic errors also, but these errors are difficult to eliminate and can only be accounted by taking into consideration the mathematical law of probability, only by probabilistic analysis, because they do not follow any mathematical rule. They may occur in any direction. Okay, so we need to cover for these type of errors. Next thing that comes here is slope measurements. Okay, so now we will try to understand slope measurements. This is also important. This is last part, and then we will go through few numerical problems, okay, to understand this concept. What happens basically here is, suppose you are not, see, in taping generally we need to do, or not only in taping, when we are talking about distance measurement, mostly we are concerned by measuring the horizontal distance between 2 points, because we are trying to locate where these two station points are located, at what difference. Okay, so what we tend to do, at times it is easier for us to calculate the slope distance if it is a slope ground and we can't measure horizontal distance directly. Okay, so for those cases what happen, if we have got the slope measurement between 2 points, okay, the slope distance if we have got between 2 points, okay, and we need to locate the horizontal distance, so apart from that we can take any other reading that we have shown here. Okay, either you can measure the slope angle theta. By what do we mean by slope angle theta? By slope angle theta we mean we have measured the slope distance and we have measured the angle theta, that theta which it is enclosing between the slope distance and the horizontal distance. Okay, so between that sloped land and that horizontal piece of land, the angle that is enclosed theta, if it is known to us, then we can easily calculate the horizontal distance between those two stations using s cos theta. Slope distance s into cos theta gives us the horizontal distance between those 2 points. It can be due to zenith angle. What happens is, if we have got the reading of slope angle, slope distance between 2 points, and we have got the zenith angle z. What is zenith angle? Zenith angle is the theta, that angle which the ground surface, that sloping ground surface makes with respect to vertical. Okay, that sloping angle was the angular measurement that was with respect to horizontal ground surface. That zenith angle is the angle that the ground surface makes with respect to vertical. So if z is known to us and the slope distance s is known to us, then also we can calculate the horizontal distance h using s sin z. Okay, this case the horizontal angle will be s into sin z. Cosine is generally taken towards that side from which the angle is enclosed, and towards the other side if we are taking the horizontal or vertical component where angle is not enclosed, then we take it as sine. Or what we can do, we know that z plus theta should be equal to 90, so we can calculate the value of theta using 90 minus z. Once the value of z is known to us, we can calculate theta as 90 minus z, or you can say we can directly calculate using s sin z. Okay, last one is vertical distance. If slope distance is known to us and the vertical distance is also known to us, at times what may happen is, it is easier to calculate slope distance obviously if the ground is sloping. Just by using simple taping technique you can measure the slope distance, and also along with this you can measure the vertical distance between 2 points. How you can measure? Maybe due to leveling. Okay, you have measured the vertical difference or the difference in elevation between those two stations. Suppose it is known to you. Okay, so if s is known to you and v is known to you, then what you can do, you can calculate the horizontal distance between 2 points as simply by Pythagoras theorem using square root of s square minus v square. That slope distance s, sloping distance is known to us, so square root of s square minus v square gives us the horizontal distance between those two stations. Okay, so this is how we can do. Next one, if this is the last one basically, if the sloping distance, see we are considering that slope measurement is known to us, then what is the other reading that we should take apart from slope measurement so that we can get the horizontal distance also? So we can take any one of them, either slope angle theta, either zenith angle theta, okay, either vertical distance between those two station points, that difference in elevation between them, or the gradient. If gradient is known to us, okay, g, that is given by v upon h into 100. Okay, if G is known to us, that is given by V upon H into 100. So what is happening? We don't know the vertical difference in elevation as well as the horizontal difference between those 2 points, but we have got the grade, the rate at which the slope is either rising or the rate at which the slope is either falling. So grade is given by vertical difference in elevation between 2 points upon horizontal distance into 100. So this G is known to us, if then G upon 100 is known to us. So G upon 100 will be equal to V upon H. And what is V upon H? This is tan theta. Okay. V upon H is equal to tan theta. That may be known to us. This ratio will be known to us. Once this ratio is known to us, this is equal to tan theta, as we already know. Tan theta is equal to vertical distance upon horizontal distance in any right angle triangle. So when this tan theta will be known to us, so this theta will be known to us. If we know the theta angle that is enclosed between the sloping ground and the horizontal piece of ground, then we can easily calculate the horizontal distance between these 2 points using S cos theta. Okay, so H will be S cos theta, and even we can also get the vertical difference in elevation between 2 points, that will be S sin theta. So once we know this grade or rate of change of grade, then also we can easily calculate